with everything. Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
So, this is the first official Jason Jean podcast where we will talk about what? Love, life, everything in between, and
Healing, heartbreak, everything you want to talk about, games.
yeah, and it could be in any order. It's
Mhm.
gonna be fairly unscripted overall. So yeah, I guess we can do a little intro. Uh,
Yeah.
should I go first, or
Um,
did you want to
you
go
go
first?
first, Gene.
Okay, cool. So hi everyone, my name's Gene. You're this would not be the first time if you're already subscribed to my channel. My I go by Arcane Gene. I do mainly gamer stuff, and then just chill out art stuff. And we've been talking about setting this up, having a little safe space to have a little convo for quite a while now. And
Yeah.
like yeah, so let me see. I guess I can do more intro for myself. Asian American, Taiwanese American. I live in New York City. Woohoo, Mecca of the world, modern Mecca of the world. Um, I lived and grew up here, but I moved to Taiwan and lived there for quite a few years. Came back to New York uh, right before pandemic lockdowns, and got stuck.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Oh.
so decided to make a life here again. Finally decided to go back to school because I could not take laying on my bed anymore, and
Mhm.
I thought it was a good opportunity. Uh, Went back to school for architecture and now also art. So that's why I'm doing this. And I do like more gamer stuff. And that's how we met, how I met Jayce. We're in the same guild. And yeah, do you want to introduce yourself now?
Where do I start? My name is Jayce. I live in Vancouver. I was born in the Philippines. I moved from the Philippines when I was 19 to Vancouver. So it has been a while since I've been home, actually. Um, as what Gene said, me and Gene literally met um, on a game. We're both in the same guild, and we've met um, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met last year in Vegas. Yeah, we got to see each other first in Denver, spent a couple of days, like a day there, and then went to Vegas for like a week trip with other friends.
It was like the
Um,
snowiest
yeah,
day.
it was the snowiest day in Denver. It's been crazy, but it's one to remember for sure. Um, and I've really just been focusing in this past couple of years when it comes to my healing. That's still my main focus right now. I got into a car accident in September of 2020. I had stability, security. I was in a really good place prior to the accident happening. Um, but also, um, life happens, and I am in a much better place now. I've really been focusing on resolving, like, unpacking my unresolved childhood trauma in the past couple of months since February. I've really been focusing on my sobriety as well. I've been 4 months, 132 days sober today, I think,
Yay.
last time I checked. Thank you, thank you. It's been a long time coming. It's like struggling with addiction and depression is such um a big thing that I've had to conquer this past couple of years alone. But to be honest, I wouldn't trade it any other way because at the end of the day, the accident, the struggles brought me to where I am now, and I'm finally giving myself the healing that I need. And you know, life feels good. Yeah.
Yay for
That's it
healing.
about me. Yes to healing. Yes.
And like you haven't been alone. Even though, you that's also kind of where this idea came from, where we've had long as conversations.
Conversations. Our conversations literally just goes for like hours and hours, and we like me and Jean just like connects in like a level where we kind of like we understand each other. Like he like I am like in a different like chapter in my life right now, and it's like he's in a different chapter of his life, and we just like we relate to each other's struggles, and we want to do better and we aim to do better every day, and just yeah,
Yeah,
rooting for each other really.
exactly. Yeah, and um I also deal with depression, anxiety,
Hmm.
and also ADHD. So it's been a struggle, and I think that being able to find community, even though it's online, and I think that the pandemic really helped reinvigorate the online community. I feel like in a lot of ways, like
Yeah,
in the early days of the internet, everybody just like tried to connect with everybody across the world.
yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah.
uh, you know,
Mm.
no more pen pals. This is like all online, and 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 I feel that that gave us an opportunity, and so yeah, we kind of want to continue that because even though, well, at least I feel that even though we're like so technologically interconnected nowadays more than ever. At the same time,
Hmm.
it also creates this separation, this divide between people.
Completely agree. Yeah,
And we have to, technology, I always feel like should be a tool. And
yeah.
it, so we want to provide at least a safe space, a space for folks that can come in. That's why we have the chat here and everything like that. Hopefully, we'll
Hmm.
start getting more people. You can contribute, and then
Yeah.
we'll be able to share a little bit more of that. Hopefully in the near future. But to have this space, and yeah, I guess.
I think it's really important to like just touching base with what you said earlier about
Hmm.
the technology is creating a separation. Like I could not agree more, especially when in the beginning of, the social media stuff, it's meant to connect you to your loved ones. If you like live like, from different countries and stuff like that, which is something that is very like common in like, you know, in the Asian community, like, me living here in Vancouver and most of my family being in the Philippines,
Yeah,
it's
like
like,
half world away.
yeah, literally. But also the technology nowadays has grown so much to the point that instead of feeling connected, you feel more disconnected the more you spend time online. And which is why I've been focusing more on, you know, not having social media lately, like
Hmm.
as much as possible, not doing as much screen time, and also like just knowing that whoever needs to contact me has my information, and I always have, I always keep in touch with the people that I care and love anyway. So it's like just having that balance. You I just feel like nowadays you can still feel connected even though you don't have social media, which is something that I've learned is you can make the effort to call your friend, let them know that, you miss them and how are they doing and stuff like that. You can strengthen your relationship without having social media. Um, and I just feel like a lot of people nowadays thinks that social media is everything.
Exactly. It like
Yeah.
is the is the end all be all. Not end all be all, but like the thing is like that's like how how you are, like how you are like your relation to the community is you have to go through social media, and
Mm-hmm.
like that's just yeah, it's created such a disconnect, and um like I've always said that if it's important, they'll leave a message and they'll be in
Yeah.
contact with
Yeah.
you, and like
Mm.
also like I also not necessarily like did a social media detox. Like that's the trend
Mm.
nowadays, detox and
Yeah.
simplify and use a dumb phone and everything like that. It has its purpose, like I feel that like there I have taken steps in that realm where like I had say okay, I'm going to go back to writing with pen and paper. Like
Mm-hmm.
having that
Yeah. Yeah.
physical like connection
Yeah.
again, and that also comes with people. And even though like right now we're doing like a podcast and everything like that, uh it's the thoughtful use of this technology. I feel that
Yeah.
that's kind of like what I've been doing now. It's just like being thoughtful
Mm-hmm.
about the time that I spend you know on social media and using
Mm-hmm.
technology and everything like that,
Yeah.
and making an active effort to step out of the house when the weather is nice, and breathe some
That's
fresh
something that I
air.
need to do. Yeah, that's something that I need to do
be
more
able,
often.
yeah, be able to turn off my phone, put it on silent and put it in my
Yeah.
bag and not worry.
Yeah, it's like I think more and more lately, as I've been going through this like healing journey of mine, it's like one of my daily intentions that I set for the day is I want to be more present
Yeah.
because I feel like I've lived, like my whole adult life on autopilot. I realized earlier I was doing a workout, but then my mind is somewhere else. And I'm like, okay, I catch my, my awareness like being somewhere else, but it's like have to be present because, it's that's that's just like I think something that that I want to focus on more is like just be present because nothing will happen if you dwell in the past or think about, the future because the power is in the now.
Mhm.
And so many people are all like are constantly on like autopilot, and it's like they go to work, they wake up, it's like the same cycle every single day, and they're not even aware that they are on autopilot,
Yeah.
that you know
They're
they
they're
can like
they're they're
breathe.
they're following some kind of uh
Societies like
societies like calculations and
hmm
method, that you're following,
yeah,
A through Z, you have to do this and that.
exactly.
And
And
well,
then
mhm.
and I feel like people think that when they follow this, they will get them to where they want to go, but not really. I mean, it might get them to where they want to go, but ultimately, it's like if you are not present with your time, with what you're doing, then are you actually like living, or are you just kind of like passing by, or like, going where the wind takes you?
Like kind of coasting, as they say, coasting,
Hmm.
like coasting
Yes,
by,
very that.
like I feel that a lot of people, like this is how I feel like you can coast, and I coast is
Mm.
like not just surviving. Well, kind of is just
It
surviving.
it's also kind of like coping, I guess.
Yeah, it's just like you're not
Hmm.
really like when you were talking about that, it's just like more about like being grounded with yourself, being mindful
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
the actions that you are taking, right
Hmm.
now in this moment, and the
Hmm.
meaning that there is, uh,
Yeah.
because like even everyone's been in that, in that because like we're all part of society and we're like
We've all been there.
we've
We all
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 been
been there.
there, and like
Yeah.
go out, I can make my money, I can do XYZ with this, and then da 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 da,
Mm.
and things will work out. But the thing is like I didn't want to. I see it happening, and everything like that because I have friends, not friends, but like people I know, in different age groups and everything like that. And I'm just like
Mhm.
sometimes. when I step back, I love people watching. And so I'll be like, just like there drinking a beer, maybe at
What
a
is their
barbecue.
story?
Yeah, exactly. I'll be there sitting
Yeah,
back with a
yeah,
beer, at a,
yeah.
friend's barbecue, and I'll just be watching, like, it's like, okay, what's going on? And I didn't want to be like one of those like folks that you end up, midlife, and then like realize like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing my whole life? And have like a whole dilemma.
Oh, I have this like it reminded me of a song. I'm not sure if you've heard of this, but this is something that I've thought about recently as well. It's like, have you heard of the song "Chained to the Rhythm" by Katy Perry?
I may have, but what
It's literally
what about it?
it's literally a song about like society, like just going like being on autopilot, doing the same thing every day, not being aware of like what is important. And also I want to add this video um that I watched a couple of months ago about this 55-year-old guy who realized that he was living on autopilot for the longest time. For like his 55 years of life, he was very successful. He had everything that he needed, but he wasn't happy. And then he realized that, like he may have everything, but he wasn't really doing whatever truly makes him feel alive, or like, his purpose is. And I think that is something that I don't want to go through. That's
Hmm.
something I don't want to live life of like regrets.
Yeah.
I don't want to live life of like, what if I did this? What if I did that? It's like I want to look back one day and think that I was present. Um, I was intentional. I, when I was with friends, I wasn't on my phone. It's like, it's
Exactly.
and I think exactly, and I feel like that's something that every one of us like could, get better with because, you know, at the end of the day, time is passing us by,
Hmm.
and it's really important to really get our priorities straight.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like from my experiences, like and it's not like doing taking this route is like, at least from my experiences, it's not it's not necessarily like an easy route. It definitely is not an easy route because
Mm,
it takes a
mm,
lot of
mm,
introspection, and you have to like you have to get to a place where you're open enough to like really
mm.
look within. You
Yeah.
you can start, superficially, and start layer after layer, slowly get in
Mm,
there, get in deep, but
yeah.
it is part of the growth process. And
Yeah.
like for me, like lots of stuff happen. We all have stories and everything like that,
Hmm.
and we all have our battles. Like I can say it hasn't been easy. Like I've had to deal with like societal pushback in a lot of ways, and like
Yeah.
society will find a way to try to make you conform. And society
Mm,
will find ways
mm.
to make you second guess yourself in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's like, am I
Yeah.
really doing it? Should I really? And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you have to be secure enough, if firm enough in your own personal beliefs, and it can come sooner, it can come later, it just depends. Everyone is different,
Hmm.
but as long as we still stick on our paths, down that path, walking down that path, taking step by step, even if it's like a little baby, like little shuffle down, as long as it's
Literally, like as long as you're inching yourself towards your where you want to go, that's all that
that's
matters. It
all that
doesn't
matters.
really matter. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
And taking it day by day is something that I've heard over and over, and something that I've, told myself over and over this past couple of months is just gotta take it day by day because at the end of the day, it's like that's all we can really do, you
Hmm.
know? And
Exactly.
you said you said something about like beliefs earlier, and I was just like, it just reminded me of like how much I believe that people needs to go. Like at one point, everyone will have to put in and do the work
Yeah.
because there comes a time where you will realize that a lot of your beliefs comes from your childhood. A
Yeah.
lot of your beliefs comes from society that was, like put upon you, and it's actually not something that you actually believe in, but and I think that's just something that no one really talks about nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I don't I've never really like heard a lot of people like talk about like, oh, I went on a healing journey, I went on doing this, I worked on myself. It's very like rarely like talked about, and
Yeah.
and I think it's something that we it should be talked about more because at the end of the day, like we are all we're every human is like a part of every like conditioning, every experience of their childhood and every trauma, and it's what makes someone that person.
Mm-hmm.
But also there comes a time where you will have to question that, is this actually me? Does this align with what I want? Does this align with my goal and stuff like that? And when it doesn't, then that's when you have to like do the work and you know start unpacking some stuff because we all have traumas that we need to like
Yeah.
heal from.
Mm-hmm.
We all have beliefs that we need to let go of that no longer work for us.
Yeah.
We all have like coping strategies that no longer work for us, and it's when we have to
Yeah.
go through that.
I feel that uh, because I've been around. I may not look it, but I've been around quite a
Oh
little.
God.
I've been around for a little while. Yellow don't mellow and everything like that, and I believe in SPF and moisture moisturizers. But I have been around enough to see that a lot of this, um, you know, self awareness and self healing and like healing. I guess trends and everything like that. It
Mhm.
comes in cycles and it's very
Yeah.
generational. I feel that we had like what the 70s, very all flower power and like connecting that way through like using the use of LSD and whatnot, which I've never
Mm.
tried, but and then like later on, I feel that when I was growing up, I think it was maybe the late 90s, maybe late 90s, like during the 90s there was also like a whole like re whole like generation, like emo and everything like that, and it's like
Yeah.
basically understanding you know our place in society and whether or not we want to be part of the mainstream or the counterculture, and I feel that
Mhm.
um, every single time, it's going a little
Mhm.
political, but like every single time it's society, as I said earlier, it'll find a way. It gets
Yeah.
co-opted and commercialized to a certain way, and
Mhm.
then you have people like this whole self-awareness journey thing, starts
Mhm.
trailing off, and I feel that now because of you know, I guess technology coming to this point is kind of like holding a mirror to society. It's like, hey, in the advent of like AI or whatever, and current
Mhm.
world politics, what,
Mhm.
who are we? What are we going to do from this moment on? Is it like,
Yeah.
how are we going to define this generation? And
Mhm.
I feel that a lot of folks, are ready for taking that journey, or at least they're more open or more aware that there is a journey that everyone needs to take
Needs to go.
eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw in a video somewhere where I think it was a monk that was talking, and he said something about what the world needs, what will eventually, like, what will ultimately heal the world is for everyone to go through a spiritual awakening.
Mm.
And it's just like understanding that there's, I don't know, it's just something about like there's so much more to your money, your appearance, your status, your achievement. Like we're all just like literally like are trying our best, and it's and I feel like in society right now, it's just like with whatever that is going on with, with the LGBTQ in the US and stuff like that. And it's really disheartening that we are still going through something like this, especially in 2024, when I would think that everything would be much more progressive. But I feel like in some parts, it's like it's taken a step back, like multiple, like,
It
step
it
back. And
yeah.
yeah,
Like like
it's,
there's been major shifts, and even like, not even talking about outside, but I feel like just within the LGBTQ community, there's been like major shifts uh
mhm,
towards like the other way. I'm not going to say like
yeah,
the right, or something like that, but like definitely
mhm,
more conservative aspects of things.
yeah,
um and because it's not necessarily like political in that way, because I don't like to use like because certain things is more almost like a whole like cultural thing, because it is a cultural thing. uh like when you finally have this community that worked so hard to advance itself in so many ways, and then all of a sudden, you hit this wall, and then you have people within this in your community basically turn around and it's like no. And I'm just like, oh
yeah,
wow, it's just like,
yeah,
what where did we get lost? I feel like it's like, where did we get
yeah,
lost? And I don't know, because like I've done a lot of community work, community organizing. I've shared a
mhm,
little bit. I've worked within the queer community, within the
mhm,
Asian American community,
yeah,
and student organizing. So I've had a hand in a lot of the stuff here in New York,
mhm,
and you know I I would like to think trying to be a little humble, but like I definitely have had, an impact, and that I
mhm,
know from my student organizing days, and it's great, like I won't like claim it like that, but the thing is like it's good that people have found value in maintaining some of this stuff. uh, but the thing is like, sometimes I feel like what do we have to do? How do we have to adapt a little bit more to I don't know. It's like something that like how do we face the challenges that is coming from within our community, like
mhm,
we know what's coming from outside, and everything like that,
yeah.
all the anti-trans and whatever what legislation, like the legality
There's
stuff.
there's so many, and
Yeah,
like even in the Philippines, there's still no like, equality bill for like trans people. And
yeah,
it just like whenever I think about our community, like there's pride that I feel, but there's also like a lot of sadness that I feel because
hmm
we're people. We're just trying to live our best life. Like just give us a break. It's like no one is judging you about your like, about other people's like decisions and stuff like that. Like why can't just I there's a part of me that still like is not understanding why people are like can be so hateful. It's like
and
your
cruel.
beliefs is your
Yeah,
beliefs, but it doesn't have to be my belief as well. It's like it's yeah, it's just like
yeah, like
wow.
sometimes. it's really because I also don't understand, like how some people can just be so cruel in a lot of ways,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, because I tend to empathize a lot, not just sympathize but
Me
empathize a
too.
lot,
Me too.
where like I feel a
Curse.
lot. Yeah. I feel a lot of
It's a
emotions
curse.
when people are suffering, and because because at least for me, like I've suffered, and I may not look it, I may not act it, but the thing is, like, I've been through enough suffering that I can understand, even to like the smallest degree. And like, because those emotions are so strong, even like 1 degree of that, that, it's like, how can you not understand that, And like, people, yeah, people are people, it's like, if they're not hurting anyone else, if they're not hurting themselves, then what who are you to say anything?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
No, I get that. Like being an empath myself is definitely like a gift and a curse
yeah.
because we can feel so much for more for people's like suffering and stuff like that. Like when I have someone that I love that are suffering, like I feel like I'm suffering too. And as much as possible, I want to hold their hand and get them through to the other side. But I also know that with every like struggle, like comes a lesson, then,
Hmm.
it also makes them stronger as well.
Exactly.
Um, but it's just like a lot of people are just literally like not self-aware, which is like thing. It's like,
I think maybe that's it, right? That's where the disconnect
hmm,
is.
yeah, it's like when you actually look at the bigger picture, it's like I think one of the biggest thing that is literally holding a lot of people back is their beliefs that was passed on to them. And that's when they have to really like challenge that belief.
Hmm.
Okay, this is what my parents believe that was passed on to me. Is this something that I actually stand by
Hmm.
or stand for? If not, then you change that belief because a lot of people are like stuck that this is what my parents believe. So this is my only
This
belief
is
that
what
I
I
that I
believe
can
too.
have.
Yeah. But then the
Yeah,
thing
so
is,
it's
like,
like it's literally like it's generational for sure because it's like even for such a long time, like everyone like the society's like norms is you have to finish school. After you finish school, you go to college, and then you high school, college, and then get a good job. After that, you have a family, and then that's it. You die.
you die.
But it's like
Yeah, and that's it.
you get a family, like you work hard for the rest of your life, and then like it's literally like it's a cycle.
Yeah.
And we're like in 2024 now, and like there's still so many people that has that same mindset that for me to be successful, I need to have this, I need to have this, but it's like, but no, that's society's like norm.
Hmm.
You have to actually challenge that and think about what actually would make like what does being successful mean to me?
Yeah. I
Because
yeah.
everyone should have like different like you know, like meaning of that. Like for me, I could like I look at someone as successful if they've like, if they have like a lot of experience in life, like wisdom and travels and and knowledge and stuff like that. For me, if you have a house doesn't mean that, like that you're successful and stuff like that. It's like everyone has different definition and it's like I think for people they need to like think about that too and like okay, I may not have this, but what does being successful mean to me? And
Yeah.
it could easily mean as being happy
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just like the material aspect of things, like
Yeah.
material success. Like for me, like, of course I understand, when you have material, when you have money, it makes things easier and
It makes the
like
world go round. Yeah.
yeah, opens doors and gives you opportunity. Yes, of
Mhm.
course. I understand that.
Yeah.
We live in a capitalistic society. That's what talks. But the thing is, what
Yeah.
talks doesn't necessarily mean that it has something really meaningful to say. It's just
Mhm.
I view it as like a tool. Like for me, I just want to, as long as I eventually get to a point where I'm comfortable, that means where I don't have to
Mhm.
worry about, money
Mhm.
and whatnot. I have enough, that if something happens, I don't have to, like, there's no struggle. There's no, like, it's like, okay, here it
Mhm.
is, I can handle this, whatever life
I
can
love
throw at
that.
me. Do I
Yeah.
want more? No. What am I going to do with
Mm.
that? It's like, I rather
It's just
be.
gonna add more stress to you.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
rather have more connections. I rather have more, like, true legacy, like something that I'm leaving this world better, you know, than,
I feel that I felt that so much when you said when you'd rather have more connections and a legacy because that's something like that I've been learning lots lately is people remember you not by your achievements, not by your job, not by how big of a house you have. They remember you for how you treat them
Mhm.
and how much like how your connection and your relationship is with them. And and that's what is your legacy when you leave this world. It's like you cannot bring anything else with you when you like leave this 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 world,
This
but it's
realm,
like
this realm,
yeah,
like, what are you gonna? There's
but like what
nothing.
is left in people's minds and hearts is how you were as a person and how you handled every struggle and how you showed up for them and
Mm-hmm.
how you yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like yeah.
It's like, like, I just, you know, the more I've gone through, the more, like, I feel that, I want to be able to connect with community, whatever community means and everything. That's
Mm,
like the term family also. Family is also a
mm,
community, big or
yeah.
small, it's like
Mhm.
how I can relate to them, how I can contribute, provide something,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's this is something like I've told you about this before, but it's something that I'm constantly putting effort in is strengthening my relationship. Um, no matter how small or big that is. It's you know, what creates a good life is having good relationships in your life.
Hmm.
And um it's I mean it's a Harvard study that it's been going on for like 8 decades and um
Ooh,
it's
Harvard.
yeah, it's they literally like follow like someone's like life from they were born and the day they died, what they eat, and like they keep track of these people, and what they ultimately came up with is what makes a good life is having like good relationships, secure relationships in your life.
Hmm.
Um, and it's so true because good relationships is that's what those people are going to be there for you when things are not going so well,
Yeah.
when things are going right. It's like it's such a big support system for us. Um, having these like good relationships, and sometimes it's like it's really important to put in effort to like strengthen those
Yeah.
and just because we all need that, like we all need like a good support system in our life because not everything is going to be sunshines and rainbows, and when it's hard that's when you have to lean into
Yeah.
your pride.
It kind of like, you mentioned earlier something regarding generational, and like I've been thinking about that, and then also like these relations, uh, like me personally, I think we might have chatted about this before, but regarding
I'm pretty sure we have.
yeah, exactly, we've chatted about a lot, but like generational trauma, at least like through being an immigrant, the first generation born in the
Hmm.
U.S. and everything like that, and
Yeah.
how uh you know through like generational like survival, like being in survival mode, how
Hmm.
that itself has like is like ingrained so much that we have to unlearn a lot of this stuff to be able to
Hmm.
realize like our true selves
Hmm.
in a lot of ways. It's a battle.
It's
And
it's so true.
yeah, and then like I've been working so hard, like at least for me, uh because I didn't really have a strong like family, in like when I was younger, when I really needed it and everything like that, and I didn't have that
Mm.
support system. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
but as I grew up, like I'm just like, why? Why wasn't it there? And
Mm.
because people were surviving in their own world, doing their own thing, and
Hmm.
they couldn't, and for whatever reason, they couldn't be there
Yeah.
for even family members, like blood is thicker than
Yeah.
water or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
but even that, and that's why like I feel like, a lot of folks, they have chosen families because, you know blood isn't, sometimes doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, like, I have chosen family, I have real family. And like with my real family, I've worked really hard in trying to reconnect, trying to, at least with my generation. The last generation is kind of
Mm.
not a hopeless cause, but it's not a hopeless cause because like my mom is, I'm lucky to have my mom, in a lot of ways. And
Yeah.
she's
Yeah. Yeah.
she's different, compared to a lot of folks in her generation,
Hmm.
and she's actually quite aware, and
Yeah.
um, I have to be lucky, to for that and everything like that, because she's always challenged society, and I also
Hmm.
do the same in my own way, and
Yeah.
so yeah, so that generation is that generation. They have to make the effort for their own self healing, whatever it needs to
Hmm.
be. But like at least for me and my generation, that means my cousins and everything like that. I've been making an active effort to reconnect. It's like and to kind of like stop that cycle of generational trauma. Just stop it. Stop it with
Hmm.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
know, because like I doubt I'm gonna have children. If I do, adopted or whatever, But the thing is, like,
Hmm.
we need to end that, that survival mode, and
Yeah.
because it's a different time now, and we
Hmm.
need to be like I feel like we need to be able to really look within ourselves and create something more meaningful and more, I don't know how to say exactly, but yeah. Be there for each other a little bit more.
I love this topic because this is something that I've worked on for like months. Um, just breaking the generational trauma. I was reading this book called How to Do the Work by the holistic psychologist.
Mm.
And let me tell you, that book, everyone needs to read that book at least once or twice in their lifetime. It talks about unresolved childhood trauma, your inner child that was not seen and heard and loved,
Mm.
that is, has been abandoned. And it's like you have all these like beliefs and like just like it's a lot. It's like I've literally had to it was like I've when I was reading that book, I have had so much resistance to that book because of how heavy it was.
Mm.
Like I remember I would read one chapter and I would literally cry because I realized that, oh, I actually had a rough childhood. I didn't have my parents growing up. When I realized that I was gay in grade two, I was told by family that I'm not, that, well, they didn't tell me, but they were pretty vocal that they don't accept gay people. And so for
Oh
me, I've
wow.
always had to take, it's like getting to know myself, but then hearing that, like perspective from my family. I'm like, okay, you cannot be that person, so go back to the closet at
Mm.
such a young age. And so, and not having my parents there with me has made me realize a lot of why I am the way I am, in my whole adult life, because, I didn't have stability, I didn't have security, I was the nephew, I was the grandson because I would always live at my grandma's place or my aunt's place, like pass by every single year. Um,
I know that
and
feeling.
so it was like a lot. And so I realized as I was working on that inner childhood trauma that I had a lot of idealization. I told myself for years and years that I had a good childhood, but then when I had to look back, I actually didn't. And that is okay that
Hmm.
you didn't. It's recognizing the fact that you didn't have a good childhood and now you are loving that inner childhood within you because you recognize that inner childhood wasn't loved and seen and heard, but it's never too late to change that. It's never too late to give what you didn't have
Yeah.
um, back in the day, which is acceptance and love,
Hmm.
and which is something that I'm constantly like working on. And it's like life changing. And it's when it comes to generational trauma, it's like I think reading that book just made me, I think this made me more, I guess, be more understanding with the fact that our parents also had their parents that was
Hmm.
hard on them.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own conditioning,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like everyone has their own trauma, and at the end of the day, I would like to think that our parents were only trying their best
Yeah.
for us.
With the tools
And I
that were
could,
given to them at that time,
yeah,
right?
like they're literally their time is no longer here.
Yeah.
It's literally like 2024. And so it's like looking back now, I can never take that time back for
Yeah.
all that trauma that I've had when I was a kid, and that I brought into my adulthood,
Hmm.
and finally realizing that now because of me doing the work to
Hmm.
finally like want to heal and understand myself more and have that self-awareness that this doesn't align with me, this beliefs no longer aligns with me. So it's really up to us, but also just having that space that my mom tried her best,
Yeah.
and with her parents were like hard on her, and so it's like it's all these beliefs that gets passed down and treatments and traumas that gets passed down. And so it's really up to us to break the cycle of trauma, to
Hmm.
finally say I am no longer accepting this kind of like treatment and like behavior towards me, and to finally like talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Like this is something that I've had a breakthrough with my mom a couple of months ago. Was like I
Amazing.
didn't have a good child.
Yeah.
I didn't have a good childhood, and she was like, she was trying to gaslight me, and I know that she's just trying her best to like not bring it up, and she was like,
Try to
whatever
smooth,
happens in the
make it as
Philippines,
smooth, like smooth it over
yeah,
as much as possible. Yeah.
yeah, and she was like, whatever happens in the Philippines stays in the Philippines, and I'm like, that's not really like that's not how it works because whatever happened in the Philippines is still with me.
Not when you're still carrying
But
it on your back and shoulder.
yeah, but then when I got to speak to her, she gave me like her side of the story, saying that, you know, I she told me her childhood story which was even, harder than mine.
Yeah.
And so it's just like I could give space to the people that I love, that everyone has different frame of reference,
Hmm.
different upbringing, different conditioning. And at the end of the day, all we can do is really communicate and
Yes.
try to Yeah, be
Yeah,
better.
like that's why like I yeah, like everything's communication, communication, communication because
It's so
it
important.
it is so important, and it doesn't matter
Yeah.
who you have those lines of communications with, but it needs to be an effective, proactive like line
Yeah.
of communication.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, and I'm glad to hear that you've gotten that breakthrough with your mom because like for me, my mom, I love my mom, and like I was lucky that we've always been pretty open, but it's
Mhm.
when when we came to realize, I had this conversation with her, it's like, I love you, mom. I always be your child. I'll always be your kid. I'll be your son,
Mhm.
but I am no longer a child,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I'll, be her baby. She's my mommy. I call her mommy.
Yeah.
And but the
Yeah.
thing is, now from that moment, we were able to have an adult relationship. Where
Mhm.
we talked about the difficulties that we're facing in each other's lives. We're able to share. We're able to support, have real
Mhm.
deep, meaningful conversations. We've been able to grow, help each other
Mhm.
heal,
Yeah.
past
Yeah.
pains and everything like that. Because, like when I was suffering, she was suffering too, and
Oh, I feel that so much. It's like, oh
you
God,
know,
that's never been more true. It's like that's what our parents are, you know.
yeah, there are
Yeah.
parents, she's my mom and she was suffering too, a lot as I was suffering. And like, but we didn't, you know, because we're different people, we don't understand, so, but we were able to connect in a lot of ways and understand each other more and more deeply. Even to this day, there's
Mhm.
still like, there's still moments where we can connect even more, but we're open to that, and it's comfortable talking
Mhm.
about it. Shit, like we've talked
Yeah.
about sex even and safer sex and condoms, like
Oh my God. Oh
we've
my
gotten to
God.
that point, where I'm like, Mom, I think
Oh
you
my
should
God.
start
Yeah.
dating and here's a condom.
Yeah.
Be
Oh my
safe.
God. I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
But like,
Mhm.
but when you get to that point is when you like, oh, you like you're able to truly appreciate. And I feel that, as immigrants, and everything like that, that's that's a hurdle. You may seem like, oh, you may hear that in like American families or whatever, Western families, like, oh, we're friends. It's not, it's like, no, that doesn't happen a lot with immigrant families. We just like, yes, we just listen and
That's
nod.
that's definitely something that I told my mom about that earlier, well, a couple months ago, I think last month or something. I'm like, I feel so good when it comes to my good relationships and like how I have my friends that I can rely on when I'm having a bad day or
Hmm.
I'm having setbacks in life, people that I can talk to and cheer me on and I can cheer them on and be there for them and stuff like that. Um, but I told her that I want a stronger relationship with her. I told her that that's one of my goals
Oh.
this year is to have a I just feel like because she told me, well, one point I was having a rough day and I just told her like, sometimes it would just be so much better if you could just come by and literally just keep me company on the couch. That would be amazing. Like we don't have to talk. Like I just need, company sometimes. And, I know that we don't have that kind of, a strong relationship because of how she wasn't there when I was a kid and she's always been working abroad in Taiwan and and stuff like that. And after I told her that, she came over and we had this conversation on the couch and she was like she started like getting emotional. She started crying and she's like I just feel weird sometimes because I don't know if I have the right to be a mom to you because of, I
Mm,
wasn't there for you on your childhood. And then and then I told her and I'm like it's never too late
yeah.
to start over. It's never too late to make more memories. and stuff like that. And so I think that moment was just so healing for both of us.
Oh my gosh.
Um, and now I get to go home to the Philippines next month and spend time with her.
Yay.
To be honest, I think that's what I'm more excited about is I get to spend time with her in the Philippines because I feel like the last time I was with her in the Philippines was probably like 2008. And it wasn't even about her, like, I wasn't even spending time with her then. Like, I was living somewhere else. She was living somewhere else. And so it's like how amazing would this trip be to just be spending it with family and knowing that that's one of my goals is to have a stronger relationship with her
Mm-hmm.
and to yeah, I'm just really excited about that. And
I'm
it's
really,
never too late.
yeah.
It's never too friggin' late to start over, to make that effort, to start communicating
Yeah.
and to yeah, because I told her like we can only do better, like life is too short.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
Mhm.
like, yes, like, sometimes I also, when you share that with me, it's just like, it reminded me like, I also had a, recent conversation because like, the past, really hurt us, and everything like that. But I'm like, that was the past, and everything like that.
That was the past.
It's like,
Exactly.
yes, I recognize it, but the thing is, it's like, what are we doing now, and what are we going forward?
Hmm.
What are we gonna
And
do?
which is what matters most.
Exactly.
Because it's like, you can think about the past as much as you want, but it will
Hmm.
never change anything. But
Exactly.
what you do now in the present can change and can heal the past.
Exactly. Yeah.
And a lot of, yeah, mm, oh
Yeah.
my God. Our conversations, we just went on a full on, like, I love it. I just love whenever we have these kind of conversations because I think it's so important. Like, I'm not sure if I've told you about this, but I've heard this term before, which is what is that term? Therapeutic encounter.
Mm.
So basically, it's a it's what you get when you're speaking to a friend or a loved one or someone where after speaking to them, you feel like a part of you is healed. And I feel like that's what I get with you because I just feel like you get me and I get you and it's
Yeah.
just we see each other. We have a lot of like, like experiences that we both gone through.
Hmm.
And I think it's really important to have a friend that can see you and understand you for what your struggles are
Hmm.
because, it's so important because a lot of like at the end of the day, we all just want to be seen and heard and loved for, for us, for yeah,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that.
And yeah. And I feel like, uh, when you were saying that, I was just like, like I always try to see as is, like no prejudgments, no, like,
And I appreciate that so
and I'm
much.
not gonna tell you what to do because, like, like, you know, your journey is your journey, my journey is my journey, and you've never told me what to do either, But the thing is, like, because just this act of sharing and communicating,
Mm, mm.
it helps guide our own, choices going forward and everything like that. And I appreciate that too.
You have no I you have no idea how much like our talks has helped me so much because I could have um I could have like talks with friends that like that supports me and loves me and stuff like that, but it's like at the end of the day they haven't really like kind of like gone through the same path. So they might like I appreciate that they're there for me and I'm so grateful for the support and
Yeah.
for them wanting to be there for me, but it hits different when someone has been on the same path as you
Yeah.
and when you can actually fully relate to someone's story, that's just like I feel so seen.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Like when you said, "Oh, it hits different," exactly thinking that when you were saying just about to say it, I was like, oh, it just hits different, and
Hmm.
you know, and
And
I
I
think
wish I
yeah,
have, and I wish people has this kind of like friendships that in life too, because it's so important. It's so important to find your people and, strengthen those relationships with those people because, it makes everything easier when things are hard.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
I actually think that that is a good ending to our first podcast
Ah,
episode.
yes. Oh my God. Yes. I
Is
think so too.
yeah, because like, maybe yeah, yeah, hits different. Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think that that's kind of brings us back to like the ultimate like reason why. Well, at least for me, like why I wanted to do this. It's just like have the
Mhm.
space, to be able to find those that really get you, and everything like that. And
Yeah.
I feel like our section of the community is underserved in a lot of ways,
Mhm.
queer Asian
Mhm.
folks, uh, you know, and yeah, hopefully. I don't
I
know.
lo
Did
You
you
know
want to?
what?
Uh-huh.
We'll just keep doing whatever we're doing because
Yeah,
at the end of the day, like we are um just really wanting to create a space for people out there that are looking for, like community because I, you know, they're not alone.
yeah,
They have their people and sometimes life can feel lonely. Um, but you just have to keep like trying your best and like and believe that life is working out for you even if that's the last thing that you want to believe sometimes.
yeah, exactly. So, everyone, we're going to try to make this a weekly podcast. I think maybe what, every Saturday for now?
Every Saturday.
Yeah,
Hmm.
every Saturday for now. This is a soft run, so we're gonna try for a month, and then just to get out the kinks and get a better feel of
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah.
And when we're all comfortable, we're going to probably shoot this off into its own channel, and we're
Hmm.
going to have this. So we're going to live stream weekly on YouTube, Twitch, and then I'm going to provide recordings of it afterwards. So that it's going to be published, and so you can always like catch up on our rants or whatever, our talks. Usually,
Yeah.
I guess we're aiming for that 1 hour mark, so it's nothing too crazy long,
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
if you want to also like just listen to us, I'm going to establish a channel. I kind of already did, but I'm going to make it like official. We need to make a logo and everything. I think Jace will contribute to that.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
that's going to be on Spotify, and so you can listen to us on your car ride, or your commute, or anything. While you're working out. I don't know. I don't know about
Oh,
listening to us while
yes.
you're working out, but I mean, you're being present in the moment of working out. While, like
Hmm. Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, yeah. Did you want to say anything else, Chase?
Um, I think I life lately has just been like giving me like confirmations, and I'm glad we can finally make this happen.
Yay!
And at the end of the day, like I hope one of my hopes for this podcast is we can inspire other people to keep showing up for themselves when
Hmm.
when times are hard. Um, Lean into the nature of impermanence that everything in life has a start and an end, and you got to give it your best shot in this one in a lifetime
Yeah,
opportunity called life. Yeah.
exactly. This is the life, what is it? YOLO, right?
Create the life that you want to live and that you deserve, and sometimes that may be hard, but you
Yeah.
gotta keep going.
And so we'll definitely end here, and then so join us next week, Saturday. We're gonna finalize the schedule a little bit more by the end of the month, and then so you can join us. You can contribute in chat. I have
Mhm.
everything all live here. So as we talk, you can always contribute. You can say hi. You can, and you can contribute if you have any questions. Also, feel free
Mhm.
to throw it in there, or any topics you want us to talk about in
Mhm.
at that moment or in the future. Definitely, we're open to that. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, thank you, Jace. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. I really appreciate you setting this up for us. I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Sh- are you planning on gaming later?
Yes.
Okay, I might join you for a couple games
Okay.
then in a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye.
Alrighty.
Bye,
Mm,
everyone.
bye.
Thanks.